Welcome back to the TwinSpires jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and Darin Zoccali to look ahead to Pegasus World Cup at Gulfstream Park. We'll focus in on those top three races, the Filly and Mare Turf, Pegasus World Cup Turf, and Pegasus World Cup, and close out with our best bets or fade of the week. Now, we're going to start something new here, though, before we get into our picks. In an effort for full transparency and accountability, we have last week's verdict to show our results from our picks in the what was it? The Colonel Bradley, we had the Leonatus and the Grade 3 Lecomte. Now, we did do pretty well in the Grade 3 Lecomte. Darin with our winner Golden Tempo, and then James and I with Mesquite, the runner-up, but needs some improvement on the other races. So motivation for this week. But I think, Darin, technically, I think you're the winner, right? Because you had the outright winner in one of the races.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I get an extra point for saying the horse was going to be 5-2 and not 8-1. Like he
I'll
wasn't.
give you a point for that, for sure.
Yeah, the other two, I was really disappointed with the way my horses ran in the Leonatus and Colonel Bradley. I know they were prices, but especially Reagan's Wit, I thought was going to run very well. I was really taken aback with a pretty lackluster effort first off the bench for him. I expect him to run better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I pulled up the rear this week, but hopefully do better. No comments on that. But let's move over to Florida, warm and sunny Florida, where I wish we were all headed. We're going to be in
Yeah.
winter storms instead in Kentucky and New York. I believe you're getting snow too, Darin. But let's look at race 10, the Grade 2 Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf on Saturday. It's a mile and a 16th on the turf for fillies and mares 4 years old and up, and it's 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. I'll start with you, Darin, and your pick, which is Breath Away.
Yeah, breath away from Miguel Clement comes in from a couple of tries out in Southern California. Ran fourth in the Grade 1 Matriarch in a race that I thought was pretty solid in that effort there. This race, when you take a look at it, I think there's some speed signed on from the outside that should ensure a pretty good clip. And I'm going to look for Breathaway to get a similar run to what she did back in the Grade 3 Goldacova, where she ran second behind Special Juan that day and was a closing second at that, going that mile. This was Breeders' Cup weekend, and I really was impressed by this effort. Breathaway is going to be coming on in the Qatar Racing colors. Got a good setup here. The winner here, I mean, obviously this horse in front, you feel pretty good when your horse takes the lead there and is in hand and opens up a couple of lanes. So you're not going to get to the winner, but this horse was able to outrun the rest of the field and get up for second here and finishing up nicely and getting a little bit to the winner late. I thought that was a solid effort behind a horse that pretty much ran her eyeballs out that day. Was a winner of the Grade 2, Dance Smartly over Caitlin Her Greatness, who is going to be one of the horses in here that is going to attract some wagering attention. But for me, this is a horse that's a proven commodity off the pace on the turf, seldom runs a bad race, and really has been running over some turf courses, especially out in Southern California, that typically play kinder to horses that are closer to the pace. I suppose Gulfstream Park also fits that mold as well, but I like the draw. Oisin Murphy aboard for Miguel Clement. I expect this horse to run pretty well here.
Yeah, close well last 2 starts, going shorter, added ground, certainly should benefit. Christophe Clement won this race 4 times. It would be very fitting for Miguel to get a win in this race for the first time.
Same day as the race that's named for his father the first time, the first edition of Christophe Clement as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oisin Murphy's one of at least a couple of riders from overseas that are in town at Gulfstream this weekend. And this is the 10th year of the Pegasus World Cup program. And, people will talk, all 3 of the Pegasus World Cup races got full fields with also eligible. So people will talk about, is it better racing with quality individuals or large fields with depth that are great betting from a betting perspective? And I'll take that latter every single time. This is the best Pegasus World Cup draw that I can remember. And I'll start off in this Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf with number 8 Proctor Street. This is a 5-year-old mare that did not make her career debut until May of her 4-year-old season last year. She ran a couple of starts then, but went to the sidelines last September. And she came back this June at Churchill Downs, needed a comebacker, ran a decent second. But since then, I've really been impressed by her form. I love her form. I think she's still improving for Brendan Walsh. And I think this mile and a 16th distance really hits Proctor Street between the eyes. It's her favorite trip. Last time out at Churchill Downs, she was able to carry her form 9 furlongs in a pretty classy effort, beat a couple of nice runners that day. But I think this, and we'll see her here looking for a way through. down here, going to split rivals and with the green hat, dark green hat, and win narrowly. Like I said, she's coming, I think. She was an entry-level allowance or condition allowance horse this summer. She ran a close third, her first stakes effort in the Perfect Sting, first stakes effort this year, and then won this Cardinal. And like I said, I just think she's improving. Like Darin said, I think Pace is signed on, and I'll look for Proctor Street to be finishing fastest of all with Tyler Gaffleon.
Yeah, by the way, guys, last week I said Golden Tempo is going to be closer to 5-2 than 8-1. Proctor Street's going to be closer to 5-2 than she is 12-1. There is absolutely no chance you are getting anywhere close to 12-1 on this horse. And I would not be surprised at all if she actually goes off favorite.
Seems like the word is out on Proctor Street. I really like that horse too. That was almost the pick that I went with. Decided to be a contrarian and not have a repeat pick here and went with a different 12-1. But I want to say real quickly too, Tyler Gaffleon is retaining the mount and he's 3 for 3 with Proctor Street, has never lost with the horse. So another plus in the corner of Proctor Street. But I went with Crivalda Oro, 12-1, the 9, and wanted to go with a horse who has upside here for Jose D'Angelo, second start for his barn. Last out, she won in the 1 mile Suwannee River Stakes when rallying late and advancing up the rail around the far turn. Recorded 93 Bristnet speed figure and a 119 class rating, which puts her right up there with the top competition in recent race ratings on Bristnet. She's working out sharply at Palm Meadows and keeps her rider Jorge Ruiz, who picked up the mount in her win last out. Great price at 12-1. I do think credential wise, maybe Proctor Street is a little bit stronger. And I looked at Breathaway too. Going to be coming from an inside post, so that could be to the benefit as well. But thought that Crivalda Oro was a little bit of a wild card, just that second start with Jose D'Angelo, who's doing well at Gulfstream. So I'm going to take a chance there.
Yeah, I looked at this filly too. She came out of the same race as my selection in the Goldakova. They were a little bit quick up front. She was just kind of even in the stretch, but certainly could have responded. Second race back off the form cycle, switching over to Gulfstream. She's got a win over the track. D'Angelo overall with very good numbers as Gulfstream. He's actually having a really, really tough time of it, though, to start the year. He's 1 for 39 this year, which is not something that I've seen for Jose D'Angelo overall. He actually finally got off the schneid, I believe, the other day in like a maiden race at Gulfstream Park about maybe 5-6 days ago. So we'll see. I mean, she's going to be a better number. The fact that she's 12-1 and Proctor Street is 12-1 is hysterical because Crivalda Oro is probably going to be like 20-1 and Proctor Street's going to be about 3-1.
Yeah. So I'll get a better price for sure.
Yeah, you will.
But we'll see how it turns out. All right, let's move over to race 12, the grade 1 Pegasus World Cup turf, a mount in 8th on the turf, and it's 4-year-olds and up. It's 4:54 p.m. Eastern time. James, tell us about test score.
Yeah, I like test score in here, and I think he's going to really take a step forward as a 4-year-old. Had a very solid 3-year-old season. His first stakes win came last spring in the Grade 3 Transy. They ran second in the American Turf, won the Belmont Derby at Saratoga, and we're going to see that performance right here. The thing with the test score is, once again, this is a horse that sort of like Proctor Street just loves this distance, the 1.8 distance for the Pegasus World Cup turf. He's 2 for 3 at it. And I really liked his win. I thought it was a sharp performance after a freshening coming back in the Twilight Derby. Last time out in the Hollywood Derby, he went off odds on. He got beat a half length. But let me just say, he was lathered up in the post parade and then got stuck inside. And I really thought that was the difference. The two runners that finished in front of him had a clear run on the outside while he was like under a hole waiting for a spot to run. And all things considering, I think he's a better horse than he showed last time. And Grand Motion just really been doing well at Gulfstream Park here of late. You can see test score has been training pretty steadily with the 4 works since December 28th in advance of the start this Saturday. And like I said, I thought he was a solid 3-year-old, but I still think he has more room to keep progressing. And I'm going to look for a strong showing from off the pace in the Pegasus World Cup turf.
Yeah, I gave him a look just because I respect him. He's the lone 4-year-old in the field. He's trying against older for the first time, which is always something that I'm a little bit dubious about when they make that step up. And other than Zulu Kingdom earlier in the year, I'm not quite sure how good the 3-year-old male turf division was last year. So I'm kind of curious to see how he runs here. But you're going to get a decent number on him as opposed to the 4 to 5 that he was in the Hollywood Derby. And I do think he's a talented horse with a bright future.
James picked out a trainer doing really well at Gulfstream. Darin, you're going with a trainer who's a little cold, but looking to get the win here in a grade one at Gulfstream. So tell me about Shug McGahee's Cugino.
Yeah, I never really worried about trends with Shug McGahee because he's one of the greatest trainers of all time, and I'm not going to let a trend with a guy like Shug McGahee beat me. Yeah, I think this horse is going to trip out. I really think that's what it comes down to. I nearly picked Cabo Spirit to take this field wire to wire because looks to be like he's going to make all the running on the lead. But I think Cugino might be sitting second right off him here. He's never run a bad race over the Gulfstream Park turf, including a really good second last time out in the Fort Lauderdale behind Wolfie's Dinah Goes To is another horse that is a loose speed type that we were hoping to see in this race and to keep Cabo Spirit company up front. But Cugino, I really liked his effort in the Red Smith when he stretched out to 1.3 miles. And I think that's the kind of trip he's going to get here. He's just stalking the pace setter here, ranges up on the outside of him. He's going to take over and kind of battle down to the wire with common defense here in a really good effort. When I think he stretched out to 1.3 miles here, which is probably longer than he really wants to go. So I'm not really concerned of it from a standpoint of, well, this was at 11 furlongs and now he's kind of cutting back to the 9. I think the 9 is his preferred trip. So that doesn't bother me. He's a quality individual. He's going to get a good trip here. I actually like the draw from the outside because he's just outside of Cabo Spirit. And I think he'll be able to just kind of fall over with him onto the rail. And I think they're going to line up 1-2. And I think he's a better horse than Cabo Spirit. So this is really a good horse tripping out combination for me. Was hoping for a little bit better of a price than 7-2, but I think it's probably about right.
And I agree with your point about his tactical ability in a race where there's a little uncertainty about the pace. I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, Cabo Spirit's going to show speed, but barring some horse running off like One Stripe did in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and considering how he came back and rated in that last race at Gulfstream, I'm not expecting him to do the same on Saturday he did in the Breeders' Cup. There's not a lot of pace signed on, so Cugino could get that good trip. Sitting just off the speed.
Yeah, I agree with you, Darin, on this pick. I looked at Cugino, but then when I saw the morning line at 7-2, I decided to go with the morning line favorite at 5-2. And it was because I felt like there were a few holes that I could poke with Cugino, but you're mentioning, the pace scenario here. Program training, what I liked about this horse was that this horse has sat right off the early pace or a little bit closer to the pace in the past when getting a win at 9 furlongs. And you're going to have that combination of Chad Brown, Flavien Prat. They're winning at a 48% clip paired up together over the last 2 months. And program trading really has just faced tougher competition. On a 4-loss streak, I understand that, but was running shorter at a mile in his last 2 starts, and then 3 back ran at a mile and a 16th and was just beaten in the neck when rallying late. But you're watching Churchill Downs here where we got that win in the Grade 1 Turf Classic, and that was when he was sitting a little bit closer in the early stages and had that stretch battle with Naval Power and was able to get up at the wire. He is 2 for 3 at the distance, and coming off a 2-month layoff, he does well on that kind of rest. He won the Hollywood Derby at Del Mar off 2 months rest, and then when he came back at the Turf Classic, it was off 4 months rest. So I'm thinking that overall, looking at his resume and who he's faced and what he's done in the past, I'm expecting him to run a big race and win here with Flavien aboard, who, actually I think came off of your horse race on the Cugino last time. So I had to side with the favorite.
Well, I mean, he's gonna ride for a Chad Brown horse that he's ridden the last 9 times. And program trading was a horse that back when he was a 3-year-old had a lot of buzz about him. I mean, this was supposed to be a star of the turf in the United States. And he just always had some issues, some gaps in his races, had to overcome a couple of issues. And the Breeders' Cup Mile, if you go back and watch that race, was he beating Notable Speech that day? No. But he had the worst trip of just about anybody in the field. So you could just draw a line through that as well. I'm excited to see what he does. He's always been a horse that a lot of people have talked very highly of. He's a highly talented horse. I would like to see him have a complete season culminating with a Breeders' Cup where we could see what this horse can really do. But I definitely respect him as the favorite.
Let's talk about promos and tournaments before we move on to the big race, Pegasus World Cup. So, Darin, what's going on this weekend at TwinSpires?
A lot of snow. We're going to talk about the one promo that I'm confident we're going to be able to offer to our players because I don't think it's going to snow in South Florida. Look, for the Pegasus, we wanted to come with something big here, and I think we have the standout offer in the ADW space, a $50,000 win ladder. And what that means is it's a four-tiered win ladder. There's a 13-race program, and it starts with 4 winners, and it works its way up to the top level of 7 winners. If you go 7 for 13 in your $10 win bets, you're going to share in $25,000 with probably not many people who are going to go 7 for 13. And if you think that that's outside the realm of possibility, well, somebody went 7 for 13 the other day at the fairgrounds and took home over $5,000 just by themselves. So it is definitely attainable. And the other advantage is if you get all the way up to the top rung in the ladder, you share in all 50,000 because you don't just get your rung in the ladder. You get all of the rungs on the way up as well, and you share in the 4 winners, the 5 winners, and the 6 winners. So this is an exciting opportunity. It rewards the simplest bet in horse racing, the win wager, the wager that players are most likely to cash on. And I think it's a tremendously exciting offer. I prefer this than giving people their money back when they lose. This incentivizes winning, and it gives players something to chase, and it's a lot of fun throughout the day. You're not going to see an offer like this elsewhere in the ADW space. We're giving away $50,000 on Saturday. On the tournament front, we've had to mix and match based on the weather, move some tracks around. So you're getting a look here at, first and foremost, the KDBC NHC qualifier on Sunday, which features the Fairgrounds and Tampa Bay Downs. Got a couple of tracks there that seem to be okay in terms of avoiding snow. Don't know about the rest of the weather, but it won't snow there. And this is an opportunity to win seats to either the Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge or the NHC. Running out of opportunities to get qualified to the NHC as that comes up in less than 2 months. So be sure to be opted into that. And then we also have our first feeder for the brand new Oaklawn Horse Players Championship. Thrilled to be a partner with Oaklawn coming up on February the 1st. It's an on-track and a hybrid tournament. You can participate in that tournament at TwinSpires. And I believe we are the only ADW that I've seen so far that's actually offering qualifying opportunities to that particular tournament as well. And it starts with this Tampa Bay Downs feeder coming up this weekend as well. So a lot of fun stuff going on this weekend in the tournament space, which is the tournament results, guys, have been unbelievable. The number of players that we have playing this January compared to last January, it's incredible. And hopefully they keep coming in and we can kind of keep expanding what we offer to the players.
Yeah, that $50,000 win ladder, that's massive.
Yeah.
Definitely exciting.
That's pretty cool because if you're the only person that goes 7 for 13, you're getting $25,000 plus for win.
Yeah,
it's pretty good for win bets.
Oh yeah. Well, we've made it to the finale on the Pegasus World Cup card and the $3 million Pegasus World Cup. It's a mile and an eighth, 4-year-olds and up, 5:39 p.m. Eastern time. Darin, I'll start with you. You've got the defending champ looking to repeat, and you think he will. So talk about White Abarrio.
Yeah, I went through this race trying to get cute and go through different horses to pick. Number one, the pace scenario in this race should be wild. Disco Time has to go and get position from the rail. Full Serrano is a horse that likes to lay forward. Skippy Longstocking doesn't want to be far back. Bob Baffert is on the record as saying Madicket Road will make the lead. So that means that he's lasting. Pan Street certainly wants to be close. Captain Cook wants to be close. Mika only has one way to go, and that's forward. So, this is like going to be the wild, wild west into that brief run into the first turn there. And I'm looking for White Abarrio to take back and just tuck in behind horses and get a run like he did maybe in the Mr. Prospector in December of 2024. But this is a look back at him dominating this race last year, where he just loomed up boldly coming off the turn and drew away with each and every stride in one of the more compelling performances. The one thing you know about White Abarrio, he loves Gulfstream Park. And he's back on his home turf. He's been training readily for this. And I think he's going to find a way to trip out here against a bunch of horses that are all looking for a similar trip. If Disco Time is going to win this race off a win in races like the Dwyer and the St. Louis Derby, as much as he's winning these races by beating horses like Crudo and Hypnus versus this field are two different things. And he's going to be way too short of a price for me to buy into the Super. So I think White Abarrio is sitting on a big race here. If he's going to be second choice, I think that's definitely a fair price for him.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. And I tried to get cute And then after I found myself trying too hard to get
Yeah.
cute, I said, you
Same.
got to go with logic here. Horse for the course, the fact that he's going to sit off the pace, and you named all of those horses that are probably going straight to the front, and I don't know what kind of pace to expect there. And James, you're going to talk about the true off the pace runner we have in the field, but for all the reasons you mentioned, Darin, you got to respect White Barrio. I don't know that the outside post is too much of a concern. I was looking back at his resume, and he hasn't always done the best from an outside post, but I don't think it's a concern here
He's
at
not trying to
Gulfstream.
get the lead. They're all
Yeah,
going. He's gonna. I think he's gonna have plenty of room to tuck back in. I don't envision him having any issue from out there, given the running style I expect him to have.
I found myself getting crazy and saying, could Japan Street win this race? Because he also could come from off the base. But
His
White
win
Barrio is
was
the
so
logical one.
uninspiring, though. Like I wanted to see
Yeah.
so much more from him in that comeback, and maybe I'm holding that against him too much, but that's kind of where
Yeah.
I'm on
And
him.
I felt like he's moving up in class here off an allowance optional claimer, and his speed figures are a little bit lower. White Barrio, triple digit speed figures in last several starts, aside from when he was in the Met Mile, got a 91 over a sloppy track. So
Yeah,
draw a line through that. And you got Irad aboard. Safi obviously does great at Gulfstream Park. It's really hard to argue against White Barrio. If I were to put money on a huge long shot, I'd go Banishing with Jose.
nice.
Yeah, it's just a weird gut feeling. If something weird happens, I could see Vanishing coming out of nowhere and at a huge price. I mean, if it's a huge price, I think I throw a few dollars down. But White Barrio is the logical choice for me. And I really don't know how you make an argument elsewhere if there's so many horses going straight to the front. Matticat Road, looking at those workouts, and I was looking at, I don't think this horse goes that far, but I don't really understand what the plan is with Matticat Road. Clearly, it's just to try to create a massive lead and hold on to it, but I don't think he's going to stay the mile and eighth. I've just never seen him show me that in the past that he's going to be able to set a hot pace and hold on to the end at 9 furlongs.
Agree.
So, so yeah, White Barrio it is. But James, you like Poster, so tell us about Poster.
Yeah, listen, I agree with the pace projection. It looks like it's going to be really solid, but and I am going to give the edge in here to Poster. He's a horse that has only run so far in his brief career 3 dirt starts. He won the Remsen at 2. I don't think he was right in that Sam F. Davis. He was way off the pace, came rallying to be third. And then last time he ran a head second to Skippy Longstocking. And believe me, Skippy Longstocking saved all the ground in there. And he went extremely wide. And Skippy Longstocking's a 10-time graded stakes winner, has earned $3.5 million. They're at different stages of their career in my mind. And both of them ran really well in the Harlan's Holiday. So I look for Poster to get the right setup, continue, keep progressing for Ian Hardy, and come for it with a big late run. And he's going to be my top pick. Now, it isn't my strongest opinion by far on the afternoon. And the way I'm going to play the Pegasus World Cup is I'm going to use a whole bunch of horses in multi-race wagers and throw out Disco Time, who has run 4 of his 5 career speed ratings of 92 or lower. And like you guys said, has to make a trip from the rail and blah, blah, blah. I think he's vulnerable. And White Barrio is the other one. So, I mean, you might want to go ahead and just box 111 right now, because White Barrio, after he won the Breeders' Cup Classic at 2023, there was a story out that they had inked a stud deal at Lanes End, came back and raced last year, didn't wind up good last fall, and he comes into this race off of 3 consecutive unplaced finishes. I think he's past his prime and over the hill, but I could be completely wrong. I'm going to use all 3 speed horses, Full Serrano, Captain Cook, Mika. I'm going to use Tapan Street. I'll use Skippy Longstocking. And I'm going to just throw in there as a wild card this British Isles second dirt start back for new trainer David Fox. But that's the way I'm looking at the Pegasus World Cup. I'm taking on the 2 probable favorites, and I'm going to make a small win wager on Poster.
Yeah, I like Poster, and I'm going to be using him quite a bit in my multi-race exotics because the race seems to set up nicely for him, and he's a lightly raced 4-year-old with a lot of upside and a horse that I think has hinted at or shown a lot of talent and ability. The counter that I have on White Barrio is, yeah, he's coming into this off a series of lackluster efforts, but I mean, let's be honest, running against Fierceness, Sierra Leone, and this field, two very different things. I'm not trying to downgrade this race, but the quality of the horses that he's been running against the last three races versus the overall depth of this field are two different things. Not to say this isn't a grade one race, but he's coming out of the running against the best of the older division to him being the classiest horse in this field. So
And this may not be a grade one quality race, too, to your point. I mean, it's a great race to
yeah,
me as a
yeah.
better, but how deep of in terms of quality is it? My thing is he also has that vet scratch and a weird workout pattern, but your points are valid.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to for me. It sounds silly to say he's dropping in class because he's in a grade one, but obviously the level of competition that he's been running against is as good as you could run against. So pretty much anywhere he would go after facing horses that are now retired who were the best of the division last year would be an easier spot.
Yeah, and British Isles had a 107 late pace rating last out. That was another horse that I was trying really hard to make a case for, but first start for David Fox. That variable had me a little concerned, but working out really well at Santa Anita. The other thing, too, is this is a horse that's been racing over in California. How does the horse run at Gulfstream? It's really kind of up in the
That
air.
was a short field with the slow pace last time.
Yeah.
There's some questions, but I still was encouraged by his performance.
Yeah. It'll be exciting to see because, I mean, either we're going to be right on it with Wide Barrio, or it's probably going to be, or you're going to have Poster coming off the pace, or it's going to be a wild, someone just goes straight out to the front and able to hold on. I don't know. It's going to be fun to see.
I would be surprised if that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to close out, we have our option of our best bet or our fade of the week. And Darin, we'll start with you. You have a best bet. Who will that be?
Yeah, I have a best bet, but I'm disappointed in the price because I sent this in before the odds were posted. I did not think my boy Prince would be the morning line favorite in this race, and I don't know if he's going to go off favorite. He's really I love the cutback for him. I don't know what they were doing putting this horse in the Canadian International last time at 1.5 miles, but he's the winner of the 6 furlong elusive quality. He ran second, beating a neck to the ill-fated Patches O'Houlihan in the Highlander. And you're going to get a look at him in the Woodbine Mile. This is him on the lead, and he's just coasting along here. He's got the tactical speed to stretch out to a mile distance. And the horse that's going to run him down in the blue colors here on the outside is none other than your eventual Breeders' Cup Mile winner, Notable Speech. And if he can run this race against Notable Speech at a distance that, is within his wheelhouse, but I do think he's better sprinting than he is going around 2 turns. This race wins on Saturday, and I'm hoping he runs back to this race. It's pretty much as simple as that. I like the outside draw for him, and I think he's the best horse in the race.
And plus, I agree with that bit. I mean, I think Coppola, he's the defending champ. He gets IRAD. I don't think he'll be running as fast as he was last time. I still like my boy Prince, that pick, but I don't think he's going to be favored, to your point at the beginning.
And I love that we're inside of Coppola because that horse is really going to have to motor in order to get to the front.
James, talk about your fade. Why do you not like Ohana Honor?
Yeah, well, listen, Flavien Prat, he holds the North American record for 82 stakes wins and 56 graded stakes wins in a season, doing that in 2024. And he's riding the morning line favorite in the last 5 races, all graded stakes. All, the late pick 5 sequence, all 5 of them. The first of those races, race 9, which also kicks off the $3 Tropical Park pick 3. He's on the Ohana Honor, who's a clear 5-2 favorite. Big gap back to the second choice on this morning line. But to me, he's, I got some questions. First off, I know he won an allowance at 1.5 mile distance earlier in his career, but I still have some questions whether the 12 furlong distance is his best distance. And I really think his form is flattered by this win in the 1 1/8 Knickerbocker. I think his form looks a lot better than it is based on this race on his PP line. Let me just say, this Knickerbocker was a terrible race. The runner-up Naptown had won a $40,000 restricted claimer and was 12-1 in an allowance race prior to that, and he ran second. And the third place finisher had just been claimed for been claimed for 50 grand and been getting drilled in like starter allowances. So that was a terrible field. I think he's vulnerable at this distance. I think he's a late runner that just gets up every once in a while. He's not consistent or reliable. And at a short price, I'm going to take on Ohana Honor. I hope Balnikov does not draw in from the AE list into the Pegasus turf because I like him in this spot. But there's some others in here, including Layout and Act Like a Fool, who I think, or not Act Like a Fool, Layout and Miss the Cut, who I think both have a chance to win this race. So I'm taking on Ohana Honor in the WL McKnight at 1.5 miles.
I'm going to mention a horse that you didn't talk about, and the story behind this horse is fascinating. The inside runner here, Z Vera for Mike Maker. He claimed this horse for $40,000 at Saratoga last summer. Then they ran the horse back for 50. The horse won, was claimed. The claim was voided. I don't know why, but the claim was voided for whatever reason. The horse came back 6 weeks later, won again in a second level allowance at Churchill, and then won a stake at Turfway, and now has a legit chance in a grade 3 at Gulfstream. If I was the person who tried to claim this horse on August the 16th and the claim was voided, I'd be like, come on, man. What the hell? So this would be a pretty good one for Mike Maker. And he has a history of this, claiming the number of times he's claimed horses and stretched them out long, both on dirt and turf, and they've turned into productive minor or major stakes horses. It's a very long list, and this horse can definitely join it.
It could be 20 horses. I mean, it is a lengthy list.
Yeah. Well, to finish out, I'll take it to the grade 2 inside information, and it's a lukewarm morning line favorite that I'm fading here. 4-1, Jody's Pride, who was barely beaten in this race last year by Mystic Lake. But Jody's Pride had been racing on the turf last 2 starts, now going back to the dirt. And at the 7 furlong distance, 0 for 2. Her other try at 7 furlongs was 14 lengths back behind Ways and Means. A very good, well, you're watching this race right here, the grade 2 Better Roses. Now, Jody's Pride did get an inside post here that could help her here, but the switch in the surfaces, she's faced tougher competition than a lot of the runners in this field, but I see a couple others in here that I would much prefer to back at a better, well, potentially a better price. Safi Joseph has 3 in the field, and Indy Bay looks really good with Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard, but I think Claret Beret could be in play, and Dazzling Move should be forwardly placed. There's 3 from his barn that I like. If all 3 run, I'm not sure, but there were a couple others that had some high race ratings last out, and yes, they are some of them moving up in class, but I think Jody's Pride is beatable, and the fact that she still hasn't quite gotten, she's been close, but hasn't gotten the win at the 7 furlong distance, it's a play against for me.
Yeah, this is another tremendous betting race where I didn't really come up with too strong of an opinion just yet. I thought Verity was a little bit interesting given the fact that she showed a lot of talent early in her career and probably needed that start at Churchill in November where she did not run badly at all behind Pistol. My hot take for this race will be about the horse that the race is named for, Inside Information, because I contend that she is the greatest filly that Mike Smith has ever ridden. And yes, I'm aware that Mike Smith has ridden Zenyatta. Inside Information does not get the due that she should get because she was an absolute Amazon on the racetrack.
She just wasn't when she was on her best day. Yeah, I mean, she was great, no doubt. Yeah.
James, you have a lot of Zenyatta opinions, don't you?
Well, yeah, but we'll save that for another show.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the time we have today for our TwinSpires jury. Hopefully, our last week's verdict will be a little bit better next week, and it should be a very exciting weekend down in Florida. Of course, that $50,000 win ladder. Don't forget about that often, and those tournaments too. Check them out at TwinSpires.com or the TwinSpires. Well, you have to go to TwinSpires.com to register for the tournaments, but also you can watch and wager on the TwinSpires app. So we'll see you next time.